What's going on, traders? 2 for 2 today. Let's get to it. All right, traders, so we had enough. We went back to the 1-1-2 system and we pretty much top ticked 2 stocks today. Go figure. No clue if it has anything to do with the emotions, but yeah, could have just been coincidence. Who knows? I'd like to think that if I was looking for the perfect entry, though, we would have probably been looking to wait until 7 for this one. So we probably wouldn't even have traded this one. And on the cars trade, we probably would have been looking for the same thing, looking for this to pop up towards 7. But since we were doing the 1-1-2, we knew that if it did pop up through 7, it was already a nice extended move. We could go ahead and add to the position if it did. So I think it had a lot to do with that. We ended up catching the top pretty much on both of these. The top here was 685. Our order was 682. We actually hit the bid on this one, and this one was pretty self-explanatory. We had the previous resistance sitting here from the pre-market. VWAP was right there as well. We came down. It kind of felt like it was done. Pretty quick move to the downside, so we took it off. We weren't wrong. It did pop up right after that, but as you can see, it decided to fade off for the rest of it. But since we only got the single entry there, just pretty much took the single exit, and we were happy with the trade. So over to CARS. This is kind of the same thing. It was a little grindy on the way up, but it was pretty extended. We had that high from yesterday sitting right here at 675-ish area. We popped through that, and it was on SSR, but this was a pretty big move all at once, all the way from down here at 650. It popped through 650, and I said, okay, if we can get up to this previous resistance and pop through, I'd be interested. It was on SSR, so if you go watch the live trade, you will see that we had to put our order out there at 685. We got filled, popped to 687, and we pretty much ended up getting the top there. So I did go back and watch the live trade, and if you were watching me live, you'll notice that I was complaining, saying, hey, we got filled at 663. The level 2 was being wacky. I thought we were at 650. But if you slow it down, it actually did pop back up to 663 on the ask when we did hit the cover button. So, and the same thing happened here. It was down in the 40s, but right before we got out, it did pop up over through 50 again, and on the ask was 655. So a little unfortunate there that both times we hit the button, it did pop up right before we hit it. So a little frustrating. And the first cover I wasn't upset with as far as getting the cover, but I am a little upset with myself not trying to pivot trade out of the rest of my shares, because as you can see, this would have been a nice trade. And technically, let's see, we would still be in this trade. If we were trading pivots, we'd still be in this trade. It's trying to make another pivot here all the way down at the 615 area. So a little frustrated with myself on that, but other than that, it was still a decent trade. And with the pivots, you do have to sit here and manage them all day if they do work in your favor. So you always have to keep that in mind too. Like, could you be doing better things with your time, looking for an extra 5-10 cents on a trade with remaining shares? You always have to keep that in mind too, right? Maybe some people would see this big drop here coming down to some previous areas and maybe taking their position off before 10 o'clock. Look, you're still pretty much right in that same area after all this consolidation. Granted, this thing could pivot all the way down to $5. We don't know, right? Are you willing to sit here and let those shares work for you? That's, a whole different story. I am, especially because I'm doing other things throughout the day. So all I really have to do is put a stop in above the pivot and then kind of walk away, do whatever, come back and see if there's a new pivot. And if there is, I can update the stop. If not, then, sometimes, you might get unlucky and it made a new pivot, comes back up and stops you out of the pivot because you never came back in time. You're like, obviously that stuff could happen, but if you're looking to let your remaining shares work, it definitely is something to look into. And I definitely plan on using it. I got a little flustered here this morning, especially because we basically went from one strategy back to another. And, I was just kind of anxious to get out of the trade in the green. So definitely happy, 2 for 2, right? Let me pull over our little P&L here. I had stopped doing this for a while, not for any specific reason. If anybody asked, I still showed it to them. I don't know. I just forgot. I kept forgetting about it. But some people were asking about it, so here you go. The reason I don't put it on the screen is because I know the chart is much more valuable to have up on the screen for you guys to kind of see what I'm looking at. And yeah, so I was never hiding it. I can go back and show you any single day. It's there. It's not a big deal. But yeah, so that's all I have for you today. Don't forget about the Friday night live stream. As always, if you want to watch the live stream from this morning, I will put the link right up there. You can go watch those. I already time-stamped them. They're good to go. And hopefully I'll see you tonight, 10:30 Eastern. If not, have a great weekend, and I will see you guys Monday morning. Peace.